Do you believe in life after death?
Nah, you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah, I'll say so. It's a nice thought to believe in, yeah, definitely.
Do you believe in life after death?
Oh yes, I hope so.
Well, I'm not exactly sure life after death as such, but I believe there is something after death, a spirit maybe, or yeah, there is something after death. There must be, because Jesus is there, he's waiting for us.
Well, the interval lasted from 3 o'clock on Good Friday afternoon until 8 o'clock on Easter Sunday morning.
One of the most fascinating things about Easter Sunday morning was actually arriving there really early, and some of the borough gardeners were out in force with their fluorescent jackets.
Sort of quietly got out of my car, dressed in the sort of the white robe, but with a council worker's luminous vest on, because obviously Jesus was mistaken for being just the gardener at the tomb.
And that was just a little profound moment.
Because we started at 8 o'clock in the morning, I thought, well, I think perhaps about half a dozen people might show up. And when I saw the crowds, I was astounded.
It was just so joyful and such promise, and everybody looked at each other and smiled at each other, and it really was a feeling of togetherness.
Woman, why do you weep? Who are you looking for? Mary.
Rabboni! Teacher!
Don't touch me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father. Go to my
Mary's face, you know, a big beaming smile, I remember, and eyes wide open as I walked towards her. For me, and I hope for people watching, it really captured the joy and the excitement that would have been there as Jesus revealed himself alive as he promised after 3 days.
Then he took a deep breath. It was as if he were breathing into us.
Receive the Holy Spirit. If you forgive someone's sins, those sins are gone for good. If you don't forgive sins, what are you going to do with them? Take your finger and feel my hand. Take your hand and place it in my side. Don't be unbelieving. Believe.
My Lord and my God.
So, you believe because you have seen with your own eyes. Even better, blessings are in store for those who believe without seeing.
Keith, my husband, he'd come to church for years and said he was a Christian, but he never had the complete faith that God was in charge of his life in the way that I had.
He was a big, bluff man who stood no nonsense, an ideal steward to steward a crowd like this. And he'd had an altercation earlier in the day with a bus driver who wanted to drive his bus through this crowd, and we'd had this difficulty of not being able to get the police to close off the streets for us. And he was in a foul mood, as it were, at that particular point earlier in the play. Turning around after the crucifixion scene was over, I saw him there, literally this great big man with tears rolling down his face. And Keith had been so moved by the crucifixion that day that it really was a life-transforming moment for him.
And everyone he met had to know about this wonderful experience. And I'm sure that in a way what happened 2 weeks later, that Easter, was God in its way preparing him for what was coming.
It was only about 2 weeks later that he suddenly died of a heart attack.
And I just felt that God had said, you know, you've got to realise I'm there for you, and was preparing him for what was going to happen to him. And I just had the greatest sense of peace. That's the only way I can describe it. Because I just felt that everything was all right with Keith. He had met God, and God had prepared him.
Jesus Christ is risen!
Jesus Christ is risen!
He is risen indeed! Jesus Christ is risen!
He is risen indeed! Hallelujah!
I think at the end of Easter Sunday there was just this sense of celebration. Our 5-act drama of Christ had now come to its conclusion, and there was this sense Christ is risen. And we could go into the rest of Easter Sunday with that sense that Christ is risen. He is with us. No longer a play, no longer a drama, something real for us to take into the future ahead of us.
The friendships that developed, I think they will be long-lasting, and the opportunities for the churches together not to be afraid to take the message of Jesus onto the streets.
I suppose really perhaps the most memorable thing was just to have played that part, to have played the part of Jesus. Somebody I've read about in my Bible, I have a relationship with, a friendship with. He's, you know, my guide in my life and my example. And here I was given this incredible opportunity to try and put that across for the person in the street, to try and perhaps encourage them to seek him as well.
So the play is finished. Many lives have been changed by it, and certainly its work goes on in programmes like this, in schools and on the internet through JesusForToday.com, and in people just meeting and talking about their experience of spreading the radical good news of Jesus to people who've never heard about it, who sometimes don't care about it, and who even ridicule it. Where do you stand?